Do you think budgets are stupid? Well, so do I. So in this video, I'm going to just give you kind of what I think is a good system that you could probably use. It's a system that I use myself, and I didn't come up with this. This is something I learned from Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich, but I learned it before I read his book, and I was doing it in like a kind of a different way. But I think this system worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for everybody. I doubt it will, because some people, they need that restrictive budget in the very beginning stages of, when they're getting on their financial journey, or they're trying to improve their financial situation. But I found that this system made the most sense for me, and I'll tell you why. Traditional budgeting, they tell you that, you need to cut out this, you need to restrict that, you need to limit this, that, and the other thing. You need to have this much money for a budget, for a set budget per week. This includes A, B, C, D, and E and F, right? And then you have, your play money, you have your invest money, you have your expense money, and all that other great stuff. And then, of course, you also have money that goes towards debts and all that other kind of stuff. So, I mean, that is a great system. And budgeting in itself is used as a tool to break a habit, right? Usually a bad habit, right? And it's usually used to build good habits. Cutting out a lot of the trash from your life that you don't need, so you can save money and, get yourself out of debt. And that's all good stuff. That is all good stuff, right? But one thing I disagree with wholeheartedly, especially in the FIRE movement, because I've seen it, and I've read about it, and there's people on YouTube that always talk about it. It's how dull life has become, or how much regret that they have, even though they reached FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Even though they reached this FIRE moment, they look back and they have so much kind of regret almost. And it's like they missed out on so much in their life, birthday parties, vacations, events, things like this. Yes, they're financially free now, but it's like you're financially free at what cost, right? And a big part of the FIRE movement is the whole budgeting thing, right? And, increasing your savings rate, and putting more money towards investments and blah, blah, blah. One thing that really irked me in this FIRE movement, right? When I initially read it, and when I was going through the, forum posts and Reddit, and when, watching videos and things like that, people always talked about like, oh, don't buy coffee, like don't buy $5 coffee. That's a sin, right? $5 times, 5 days a week, that's $25. You could be putting, that $25 into an index fund and getting 8% returns and blah, 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 over 30 years. And this is how much you have. Like, oh my God, give me a break. I get it if you're in your early stages of life, your early stages of, like you're 18 to 21. Yeah, you would probably be worried about that. Like, yeah, that makes more sense, right? But as you get on with age, 25 to 30, and even 25 to probably 35, you're in your professional development stages, right? You're in your career growth stages of life. You got a profession, you got expertise, you're getting paid more, hopefully. That $5 a day on coffee is not going to make a difference. I hate to be the one to say it, but it's not. If you can't afford $5 a day, and this will be a little controversial, but if you can't afford $5 a day for your coffee, then you probably have bigger problems to worry about. You probably need to be making more money. And that's really all it is. That's really what it comes down to. Now, I'm not saying, that'll solve all your problems, because it won't. Because if you're spending money on a bunch of other crap, that's wasting, that's going basically in the trash bin, or the fire pit, then yeah, that's not going to help you much either, right? But the core of that, whole FIRE movement is or the problem that I see with it is, the attack on the $5 a day coffee, right? And this is because I love coffee, all right? I'm a coffee guy. I drink coffee every single day, and I was never ever going to give that up, right? I was not going to deprive my life of a simple joy such as a hot cup of coffee, right? Just to save the $5 so I could put it into an index fund. All right. Now, let me flip that on its head. and talk about this other way of looking at budgeting, right? Or a different system. So in Ramit Sethi's book, he talks about, this rich life, right? And he also talks about like, what do you value, right? So what would you spend money on? And for me, coffee was one of them, right? Coffee was absolutely one of them. uh, YouTube, right? YouTube's $15 a month or something like that. I would never give that up. Netflix, I have a Netflix subscription. I would never give that up because I need some type of entertainment. I need some type of escape from time to time. Same thing with Amazon Prime. While I was working in the Middle East, I basically shopped all the time on Amazon, right? So I was never going to give those things up. And there was all these other tiny little subscription services here and there, that I just wouldn't give up. Like, period. I don't care, And if I was talking to someone in the fire community, they'd probably be like, "Oh, that's bad. That's a sin. That could be money towards an index fund and blah blah blah, 8% returns, yada yada yada." Okay, I got it. Good, you know. But in his rich life, you spend money lavishly on the things you really care about, the things that bring you happiness, the things that bring you joy, and you scale back completely on everything else. You cut out almost everything else. Now, this, I'm not gonna lie, I was a high income earner, so I had a lot to struggle with, especially this because, you know, um, at one point, I was spending lavishly on a lot of things, right? I was buying some nice clothes, not so much designer clothes, but like I'd like to buy a suit here and there. I'd spend probably 300-400 bucks on clothes in like every like 6 months or something, probably, and that's like not even that much when you really think about it. Um, and I'd probably spend a lot of money going out to the bars, the clubs, getting table service, bottle service, all that kind of stuff, right? And uh, buying shots for everybody, right? And I'm talking from a male perspective, right? Because I have a lizard brain, so you know I was spending lavishly on that. But then I soon discovered, after a lot of trial and error, that I did not like doing that anymore. I didn't want to put any more value on that stuff. Why? Because it was pretty much destroying my health. I'd wake up hungover the next day. I'd lose almost a day, maybe even 2 days of productivity because I was so hungover. And the only thing I could relate that to, that night and that money spent, because I was spending almost 200 to 300 bucks on a night like that. I'd only sum it up with, that was a great time. For what I remember, or that was funny. Hey, do you remember, like it was, what was the point of it? Right. So I slowly started to learn that I don't value that stuff anymore. And I scaled back quite a bit on that. I stopped going out. I found more valuable things to do with my time. Right. And yeah, I'd get cabin fever here and there, but, I scaled back quite a bit on that stuff, on the nightlife, on going out. I'd rather spend the money, you know, going out to, with like friends to like a nice restaurant that I've never been to, or use that money to buy stocks, or use that money to uh, go do something that I've never done before. Maybe even go to a movie theater, right? To go watch a movie just to get out of the house, you know. But yeah, cutting the $5 out of my day was not gonna help me, right? That wasn't gonna solve any problems. I had to solve deeper problems. And I think that's what that system really helped me realize, was that, what do you value? What do you actually value? What brings you happiness and joy? You identify those things and then you scale back on everything else. The stuff that really doesn't bring you joy, right? The thing that's detrimental to your health, the stuff that probably puts you in bad situations, or even worse, horrible circumstances. I mean, there's fights and stuff that happen all the time at these venues. What if some guy bumps into you, or someone picks a fight with your friend? I mean, now, what happens after that, right? So, all that was to say that I didn't need that nightlife anymore. And I found more joy sitting around a table with a bunch of friends, sharing a cigar and a little bit of whiskey, right? I found way more joy in something like that than I did going out and doing all that other crap. So I know this is not a typical YouTube video because, usually in these finance channels, it's always, happy, positive, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. But, this is true. This is real life here that I'm talking about. And this is my life that I'm talking about anyways. So scaling back on the stuff you don't care about, and then spending lavishly on the stuff I do care about. I've never really truly regretted any of that stuff. Like I look at some of the things that I've spent money on. I remember one year I spent a crazy amount of money on traveling, and I really didn't feel bad about it. I did not feel bad about it. It was a lot of money too. Like I could have probably bought a BMW with that money, but I didn't care because it was the memories and the experiences that I got to see, and I got to see new countries I've never been to, meet a lot of interesting people, even people I stay in contact with to this day. So I don't regret any of that, right? Could I have been farther in my, fire journey? Yeah, sure. But I think I would have missed out on so much had I done that. Instead, I learned to, it would be hard to justify buying a $20 shirt or even a $30, pair of pants or even $30 shoes. It would be hard to justify that, but it would be super easy to be like, here's my, I'm buying this stock, right? Or I'm buying these REITs, or I'm buying this ETFs, or I'm buying this, or hey, I'm buying a plane ticket to go to Dubai this weekend, right? Like it's just the values completely changed. And again, I had no problems spending money on certain things because those were the things I cared about the most, that brought me the most joy. And then everything else I kind of just cut out, very slowly cut out, and it wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. It took a lot of kind of deep thinking, reflection, and deciding what was the best use of your money, right? What was the best use of my money? So if you hate budgeting, guys, I totally get it. I totally understand it because I hate budgeting too. I think budgeting is probably the dumbest thing ever. Instead, I would rather pay for things I really care about or things I value, and then just scale back on everything else I don't care about. And that's a list that is a very, very long laundry list of stuff I don't care about that I used to spend money on. Now I don't spend money on it at all. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to make this quick video. I hope this video was helpful for you guys in kind of deciding on what makes sense for you. You can go with a budget. You can do, the fancy spreadsheets, spending, trying to scrimp here, save here, $1 there, 30 cents here. My advice, honestly, is if you're at that point, you should cut back instead of trying to budget, for everything and living in your spreadsheets. Instead, consider, if you will, cutting out the crap you don't need, making more money, stop staying at a job because you're loyal, like increase your skill set and go get a new job, right? That will serve you better in the long run than staying put, making $1,000 a week and then trying to budget yourself within that $1,000 every other week, right? Instead, there's a saying out there, the competent get compensated. So go get competent in a very high paying skill and then go make a lot more money, and then budgeting won't even be a thing you have to worry about. But that doesn't mean go crazy on your lifestyle inflation either, right? Lifestyle inflation is a thing, right? People who a lot more money, they tend to want to spend more money, and that is a problem. That is a bad thing, right? If you're going to make a lot more money, you need to save the difference, right? Save the difference, put it into investments, put it into assets. Find the things you truly value, cut out all the other crap. All right. So that's it for me, guys. Hope this video is valuable. I'll see you guys in the next video.